Sounds like we're crapping on the brain right now, but don't get us wrong. The
It's a
brain
very
is
specific kink.
yeah, right. It's very specific. History is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. At this juncture, it is fair to ask, if you're listening now, it's fair to ask, why do I forget some stuff? Earlier conversation, the three of us were talking about remembering phone numbers, 7-digit numbers, right? We each recalled immediately some numbers, but we don't know most phone numbers. Humans don't know most phone numbers, so you have to ask yourself, why do we remember some things and forget others? Someone listening today may say, why can I, for instance, remember a day at the beach with pitch perfect clarity? You know, they're saying, I was 8 years old and I remember the smell of the ocean, the grit of the sand. But why can I not, at the same time, for our NSA intern Steve's sake, remember what this person next to me was just talking about, even if I was trying to pay attention? Why can't I remember the street they named? The answer is honestly super simple. It's smell. We can do an experiment with it later today. If you want to remember something, fellow conspiracy realist, if there's something just like on the tip of your mental tongue, ask yourself about the smells you remember from that moment. Be careful while doing so, because it might open some doors.
Makes me think of my son when we first brought him home from the hospital. I will
Really?
never forget that smell.
Was it a good smell?
First poop hit the diaper.
It's gross.
You
Well,
remember
no,
it, though.
but
it smells like violets and sunshine. What are you talking about?
No, it does not.
Oh, okay. All right.
Spoiled milk, my friend. No.
But you remember it, right? Like it's encoded in your memory, Matt. Is that true?
No, it is. For sure. Yeah.
I have a very distinct. I'm sorry, this is what it does. Like, certain things trigger these memories, and then you just go back and you're like down this rabbit hole. But I have a very distinct memory from being a kid of like being on some sort of school field trip when I was lived in Germany. Must have been like 5 or 6 years old, and I remember discovering this kind of underground area that was like a construction site or something weird, but it seemed really creepy and mysterious. And I remember it had this smell, and I remember the smell to this day. And it was sort of dank and acrid, but I recognize that smell whenever I experience it. And another smell that I always remember and that brings me back to a place is the smell of California, or like San Francisco in particular. It has this like kind of like weird acrid sea salt smell that just other parts of the country don't smell like. So I think I'm with you. That sense memory associated with smell is really strong.
Yes, it is the primary encoder for the mammalian brain. The other senses play a part. Of course, taste is just sort of a subgenre of smell. And the thing about memory is, again, it's super cool, but it's also super imperfect. Earlier, we talked about the fluidity of memory and the way in which the brain explores concepts of the past. The key word there was not brain necessarily, nor was it memory. It was the word fluid. Again, your memory, if you are human, is constructed and maintained by the most selfish, most powerful organ in your body. It can, at will, move, edit, revise, omit, and even add experiences of memory, and your consciousness, will not be able to divine the difference very easily. Your brain can conspire against what you think of when you think of you. And other human beings, just like you, are very well aware of this fact. here's where it gets crazy. Memory is 100% fallible. It's a bad investment. It's like NFTs. Like, while we are recording today, there are active, powerful forces seeking to change people's perception of the past. We can start with a with a fun, approachable example, so we don't scare anyone off. You've heard of them before, long time conspiracy realist. There's a guy that we talk about pretty frequently, off air as well as on, a mentalist out of the United Kingdom. He's named Darren Brown. No relation to our pal Noel.
Yeah, no, I wish. He's a cool guy. Got all kinds of specials. Mentalism is like, it's like if you see the movie Nightmare Alley. I really like the original, but the Guillermo del Toro remake is quite good too. It's, uses things like cold reading, and it's sort of wrapped up in the idea of being like a seer or like a fortune teller. And you use, kind of general things that most people would have in common to make them feel like you know something that you shouldn't know. Darren Brown has gamed this and takes it, adds a David Copperfield-esque kind of flair to it, and really makes like a big production of it, and always has different themes. I mean, his specials are absolutely entertaining. He always uses the word stooges. He says there are no stooges, meaning, plants, like people that are going to act a certain way or pretend to not be in on the bit when they actually are. But, he's compared to kind of a modern day Houdini, which we also know he wasn't a magical person. He was just a really good showman who knew some tricks and was able to game people's perceptions.
Yeah, and Ben, before we get into the experiment we're really going to go in depth into today, just really quickly, I'd like to mention another one of his, what would we call these things? It's not a stunt, it's not a trick, it's a
demonstration, let's call it.
Okay, so a demonstration that he gives in a video that he produced at some point for a special, where he's talking to someone about how he has learned to look at a deck of cards as it is being flicked past really quickly, if you're flicking through all of the cards, and he's just memorized, or he's perfected rather, the ability to see every card in those of the 52 and know which ones are missing when he just flicks through it at a lightning fast pace. And he demonstrates how he can have this person remove one and he'll tell you which one that is, or he can flick it through twice and then flip over the cards while not looking and tell you every card in order what it is. I don't want to talk too much shade about him because maybe that's possible. It feels highly unlikely that he could train himself even over, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours and attempts. I don't think you could do that just because it is happening so quickly. And in this demonstration, he says that he's able to slow time down the way you would when you experience something traumatic, like a car accident.
Okay,
and
Darren.
he can just do that, right?